Yeah, welcome back to the SportsMax Zone. We kick things off with football. Our next stop on the election trail is inside the Barbados Football Association, the BFA presidential race. Delegates will, on the 7th of April, decide who will govern the BFA's affairs for the next 4 years. Randy Harris, the current Caribbean Football Union president, has been at the helm of the Barbados Football Association since 2012. Omari Eastmond, a former goalkeeper and for the national team, and he is creating quite a stir as he has launched a challenge citing a dire need for change. Omari Eastmond, BFA presidential candidate, joins us on Zoom. Omari, welcome to the SportsMax Zone. Great to be talking to you at this point. Let's hit the road immediately because Randy Harris has been president now for, well, going 12 years because he started in 2012. You had been a vice president at one point and resigned. Can you just talk us quickly through your through that decision before we get into your candidacy?
First, good evening. Thanks for having me. Yes, I was selected junior vice president in 2020. I served for 1 year. But what I recognize is that some of the decisions being made consistently went against my professional background. So if you don't know, I'm a pharmacist by profession. I did my master's in diabetes and endocrinology. So I have a professional background. I also sit on 2 boards currently at governmental level. So I am quite aware of how boards ought to be run. Decisions, especially major decisions, were being made, and I was not involved as a junior vice president. Not a floor member, but a vice president. I would have spoken to it many times. I would have written emails. They continue to be ignored. So one major event occurred, and I was not informed. I asked, even if I wasn't informed, they could have just shared it or shared a summary of decisions being made. I just felt excluded all the time, so I figured it was best that if I'm part of a board and I'm not being involved in decision making, there's no need for me.
How much have you articulated this to your potential voting support, Omari? Because it could be argued that people had confidence in you and voted for you, and then you resigned from the position. Is that something that you think could hinder your candidacy, given the fact that you stepped away from a role that you were supported to fill?
So what I did initially before my resignation, I would have continued to email the club. So after I would have won, I would have sent out a congratulatory message to all the clubs on the listing of the BFA via email. Some who had personal telephone numbers, I would have called and thanked them personally for their confidence in me. And in the first 3 months, I tried to give an update of how it has been going. And I continued that periodically throughout the year. And after long discussion with them, I would have emailed them before my resignation, highlighting the flaws that have been occurring and why I am taking the decision. So I did not resign and did not let them know. What I did, I would have emailed all the clubs again on the listing, letting them know the reason for my resignation, and I'm just highlighting why. And then I would have sent the resignation the following day.
Yeah. How much of a hurdle do you think Randy Harris will be to clear? Because he does apparently have the backing of CONCACAF. The CONCACAF president, Victor Montagliani, was in Barbados last week for the opening of the Philip Blagrove complex, and he apparently gave open support to Randy Harris as to continue as the BFA president. Do you see this as something that is standing in your way of becoming the new BFA president?
No, I actually don't say something standing in my way. I actually say a feather in my cap, because Mr. Montagliani was only down here recently for Randy's wedding. He has not been here prior. So it says to me that he needs the confidence of Mr. Montagliani. The thing is that the field that has been open has been budding even before I was there. And I would have resigned in 2021, and I came into office in 2020, and the field was there, and it has never been developed. The second thing is that the field is not even an international size field. It has been cornered, and actually no football has ever played on the field. Furthermore, it is not even a proper playing surface at the moment. So if you were to ask, just to justify my reasoning, is if you could see the playing surface, if it's even marked. So it doesn't in no way inhibit my aspirations to being president. Actually, a friend and it shows confidence in that he has to come and give that open support.
Right. And you know, Omari, I was reading an interview you did, and of course I saw it on sportsmax.tv, and you spoke about transparency where finances are concerned. Can you talk to me a bit about that and what made you feel as if that's one of the points you want to push and, of course, if you are elected, improve on?
So FIFA would have outlined a new chart, a new direction, the FIFA 0.0, and then they had the FIFA 2.0, and now the FIFA 3.0, which will have started in 2023 to 2026. We have had a general secretary that have resigned. The financial controller was fired, and nothing was reported to the member clubs. The member clubs are the persons whose responsibility they ought to know what occurs. And FIFA outlined clearly on their website how the money ought to be spent. 8 million over a 4-year cycle, 5 million for separated between operational and 3 million for structural design, whether it be fields, whether it be technical centers. And the thing is that member clubs are not seeing the where the money is being spent openly. So if there is transparency and you know what's going on, first you report to the clubs why the general secretary would have resigned. 2, why the financial controller would have been fired. And 3, how you are planning to spend this money. So there needs to be accountability. And if there's transparency, you don't mind being accountable to the member clubs, because the member clubs are the persons who put you there. Those are the persons who actually run the association. So the association can only function if there are member clubs. If there are no member clubs, there's no BFA.
Yeah, another point that you wanted to work on is the communication between the key stakeholders and, of course, the football community. Is there a gap in that currently?
Yes, unfortunately, I don't know why things are not communicated. There's a top-down behavior pattern. Also, as I could share with you, we had a former technical director, gone, no comment again to the member club. So my thing is, if you are transparent and if you are just in doing your things, share with the member clubs what occurred. Give us a feedback. Then there'd be no reason to be this closed issue. Let me give an example. There one time we sat on the board as junior vice president. Both the president and the vice president was out of the island. They both were out of the island, so which means I function as president. The board wasn't informed. I did not know that they were out of the island. So the communication stems not only from the BFA coming down, but from the council coming down to the as how it actually behaves. As I said, currently sit on 2 other boards, and unfortunately, it goes against my professional principles.
Yeah, Omari, you know, when I speak with the individuals on the ground, there seems to be this thinking that Omari Eastmond comes with a squeaky clean reputation. As far as politics, football and football politics go, what the people say is that you are as clean as they come. Is that how you see yourself, and is that part of your campaigning strategies? You try to get the top job at the BFA?
Yes. So what you get is what you see. What you see is what you get with me. The thing is that I'm open. I'm willing to take critiques. So I want to learn. I'm a student of the game. And the thing is that there's nothing to hide. Should I be elected president for the BFA? If in 4 years, everything I have outlined and everything I put in my manifesto, that is the time for you to make your decisions again. Put me out of office. So that's all I'm saying. Give me a chance to see if I would keep my word. And if you're not liking or I'm not doing the things I say we do, you have 4 years time. Or there's structures in the Constitution where the president can be removed. Clubs can come together again, call an emergency meeting, share a no confidence motion, and have the president removed.
You know, Barbados football has been struggling for some time now. I want to get more details from you, if you are elected, how you plan to improve the country's football.
So firstly, it's not a one job fits all. The thing, we need to focus on the youth. The thing is that FIFA provide funds for grassroots level. We need to make sure that we need to get those players from the cracks and crevices of rural Barbados playing football. We in Barbados, we do not play enough football. So we also need to invest in our coaching education department so that better coaching can usually lead to better players. And we need to, in order to get ourselves competing and viably, we need to get corporate Barbados involved, because at the moment, players are not remunerated, players don't train often, and Barbados just train for tournaments. It is unfortunate, or is not ideal, it's unrealistic to think that a national team can train for 3 months and beat teams like our Caribbean neighbors like Jamaica, Trinidad, who have professional leagues and train and play football 9 months of the year. It's unrealistic. So we need to set ourselves realistic goals. The thing is, we need to have a plan. I may ask you, do the BFA have a plan? I haven't seen it. When I first went on the board in 2020, BFA does not have a strategic plan. Everything you do must come from a strategic plan. And if it's not working, you go back to the plan, see how it can be measured, see how you can fix the problem, and then come back and try to fix it. But if there's no plan, if the person just pulling ideas out the ear, well, then it goes nowhere. We don't know where we're going. We're really wishing.
Yeah, and fair enough. In the 1 year that you were on the board, what did you learn, especially from a financial standpoint? Because it's always all good and well to say that let's develop the game this way, let's put this in place, let's put that in place. But of course, you require the financial resources to do it. So in the time that you were there, what did you learn about the financial situation of the Barbados Football Association and its ability to put in place the programs that you are thinking of at this stage?
I learned that there's no structure. That's what I learned. There's no structure. If you remember clearly, in 2020, FIFA would have given each member association money. I think it was called the Solidarity Fund for COVID. In Barbados, there was no competitive football, no games, no contact sports could have been played. What it would do, since I'm a very noble person and I would have signed a confidential agreement, even though that I'm not there, I'm still going to honor it. But I will leave this to you. If you can ask the current executive how the money was spent, if they could share in that 1 year, how it was from August in 2020, what we received from FIFA, and what it was in July 2021.
How would you have spent that money?
I probably would have invested in the clubs with proper structure. Give them. When I was there, I recommended that we did buy COVID tests in bulk and sanitizer, because the government were willing to give us little room to play. I also asked that computers, laptops be given to clubs so that they could do their own registration, they could learn how to use the FIFA Connect system. So it's still Connect, where a lot of clubs are unfamiliar with using the FIFA Connect, and everything goes through that new program would have bought it. So we need to invest in clubs more. I would have also given each club an even set of money. In Barbados, we have 3 tiers of football: Premier League, First Division, Second Division, and Third Division. It was segregated it wasn't divided fairly, is what I was saying. One of the questions they asked is, how a team in Premier League, what needs do they have that a team in Third Division do not have? Mind you, some teams in First Division only have 1 team, a Premier League team. They don't have no female team. They don't have no junior team. But there are teams in Second Division that have a female team, a youth team, or sometimes more than 1 youth team, yet they receive less money. And to me, that was not fair, in my opinion. But I'm a team player. It didn't come to a vote, which I would have loved at what level that how the money could have been spent. But yeah, that's what I would have done.
All right, I have one question for you, Omari, before we go to the break, because Barbados at the moment is ranked 178th in the world, one of your lowest rankings ever. Part of the downside for the current administration is the poor results that we've been seeing for a very, very long time now, many years. In fact, your world ranking at 178 is well below your average overall ranking of, I think, 131st or something like that. Do you think, based on the football fraternity and the feeling among football fans in Barbados at the moment, that the wretched results that the national team is enduring at the moment is seen as serious enough, or these fans in Barbados are taking it seriously enough to, well, the delegates then, because they're the ones that have the vote, is the poor performance of the national team at the moment, from what you're gathering from the football public, enough for the fans to say, well, let's have a new president in?
So the fans are calling for a change. As you mentioned, the fans do not vote. The thing about elections in Barbados is how it's structured. And there's still an old boys club in Barbados. There are persons who are presidents and secretaries of clubs who do not even come around football. They don't even know the constitution would have changed. What they do know is that they know this person from a long time and they will support that person. They will just sign the delegate form and they're not even sure who's representing the club for that person to come and vote. So there's a lot of structures that are in place that are very archaic, but that's just how it is. So that does not deter me from what my objective is to have a new president and to correct these structures at the moment. I'm not currently studying what is currently wrong. I'm studying what I can do right. And there's a quote I live by: winners focus on winning and losers focus on winners. So I'm not going to sit here and mislead you that I'm actually studying what they do. I know what needs to be corrected, and I am willing to do it. And I'm asking the member clubs to hold me accountable if I fail in my endeavors.
Omari, thanks for talking to us on the SportsMax Zone, and we'll be in touch. Of course, we'll try to talk to the current president as well as we zone in on the April 7th Barbados Football Association presidential elections. Omari, thanks for talking to us on the SportsMax Zone. We go to break. We'll be back with more on the zone after this.